Joining me now, Democratic Congresswoman Karen Bass of California. She's a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee as well as the Judiciary Committee. Welcome, ma'am. It's always good to see you and talk with you. And I do want to ask you, since we've had about 3 days or so to process this major announcement, your reaction to what you heard from the president there as officials are preparing him for this meeting. First of all, do we know officially that North Korea has said we want to denuclearize, as the president said?
Absolutely not. That's not my understanding from the press conference that took place at the White House with the South Korean officials. And I think the bottom line is that he is approaching one of the most dangerous international situations we face in a completely flippant manner. Remember, we do not even have an ambassador in South Korea. He received no preparation. He just spontaneously walked in a meeting and decided that he was going to enter into negotiations.
And let's listen to what, or rather, I'm going to just indicate what conservative writer Jennifer Rubin has said, because she's among those who believe that the president is getting played by North Korea.
Exactly. So
you agree?
Yes.
How so? I mean, how is it that he's getting played? To what end?
Well, I mean, I actually think that that North and South Korea essentially seem to take the situation into their own hands by the Olympics, having the team come, having his sister come. I think they decided to take it into their own hands, and I would speculate that they probably did it because of the irresponsible manner in which President Trump has approached the situation. I'm sure that the head of North Korea knows that if he gets Mr. Trump over to North Korea, all he needs to do is put on a huge parade and wine and dine him and fawn over him, and it's no telling what Trump will agree to.
Now, we should say we do not know where a meeting will take place.
Exactly.
And it would be extraordinary if this president were to go actually into the domain of North Korea. I don't believe that is expected.
Well, not only do we not know where, we don't know if, because we know that that was his spontaneous decision on that particular day, but let a little time pass, and I think one thing that has been consistent with Trump is his inconsistency. So I wouldn't be surprised if in a week or two he completely changes his position.
A bit earlier, one of my colleagues spoke with former Obama official Evans Revere, who told her that one of the preconditions for this meeting should be the release of those 3 Americans that are being held hostage in a gulag in North Korea. I want to play that for you. Here it is.
Sure.
I hope that in the preparation for the summit, a senior envoy of the United States will meet with the North Koreans and make it clear that that's an expectation. Full disclosure, I worked with the Warren Beer family for over 1.5 years to try to secure his release, and it was a really tragic outcome. And I've worked on many of the other cases of these Americans who have been imprisoned unfairly and cruelly by the North Koreans. And it's an outrage, and Americans should demand that these people who are still in North Korean custody be released.
Look, we do not know if officials have already identified this as a precondition, but wouldn't these human rights abuses, wouldn't they amount to a non-starter? I mean, would it be difficult to negotiate on these terms?
Well, I think so, but I do think it's right to demand that they be released. But the overall problem with this situation is the spontaneous way in which it took place. The fact that he had no preparation, there have been no discussions. His poor Secretary of State was over in Africa saying the exact opposite. And so that is the underlying problem. It clearly wasn't thought out, and since it happened that way, there certainly needs to be planning and advice from the people who are experts in the area.
Well, again, as a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, you would know a lot of things, but I will say that Sarah Huckabee Sanders has she indicated this was something that had been in the works for about 1 year, at least the topic under discussion at the White House. But you're smiling.
I don't think anybody believes that.
All right, well, I just was putting it out there. Let's go to the Russia investigation, because I know just this week you were among a bipartisan group of lawmakers which introduced that bill requiring the Trump administration to pass an act on the Russia sanctions that you all voted on to punish the Kremlin for the election meddling. A bit earlier today, CIA Director Mike Pompeo responded to that very same Megyn Kelly interview, which prompted this bill, saying Putin's claim that his government did not meddle in the 2016 election is, quote, false. So why do you suspect that the president himself is unable to say this, or has even ever been critical of Vladimir Putin? I mean, do you read anything into that?
Well, I absolutely read a lot into it, and I don't know what the specifics are, but I think many people believe that Putin must have something devastating on this president. Why would he spend all of his time hiding? Why wouldn't he show his taxes? Why has his behavior been this way? He is the commander-in-chief. His number one responsibility is to protect this nation. He has essentially said he will not do that. All of his intelligence agencies have told him that our election was intervened, but we also have an election coming up in the next few months, and he has done nothing to protect this country. The State Department has over $100 million that they have not even spent to look at the elections. And so I think that this is egregious, which just makes you wonder, what does Putin have on Trump that has contributed to his behavior?
Another interesting point here, and no connection to the Russia investigation specifically, but we do have the Washington Post reporting that back in 2013, the president wrote a letter, a personal letter, inviting Vladimir Putin to the Miss Universe pageant he'd organized there in Moscow that year. Is that really that big of a deal to want to invite the president or the leader of a country to a major event in their own backyard?
Well, I think it goes to what is their relationship and what is the history of their relationship. Remember, Trump 1 minute said that he knew him really well, the next minute said he's never spoken to him. So to me, that's the underlying issue there. Was there a relationship? When did it begin? What was the nature of it? And what level of involvement did the two leaders have with each other that intervened and contributed to our election, to the problems in our election?
California Democratic Congresswoman Karen Bass from my hometown of LA, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you, same here.